Good evening, parents. We're just going to wait here as people start to line up and join our webinar. So we'll just be patiently waiting here. All right, good evening, parents. Thank you for joining us for our 2021 GATE program overview. Just do some quick introductions here. Let's start off here. My name is Dr. Mike Roberts. I'm the principal here at A. Wright Middle School. I'm excited to have you guys here joining us this evening, learning a little bit more about our GATE program and what it has to offer. And just a little thing here we'll go through before we do the other introductions, but we will talk about gifted characteristics, the program mission. We'll do a little bit of an overview, next steps. We'll have a quick introduction of our GATE parents, and we'll do a Q&A. So inside your chat box, you should see that Q&A questions. If you go ahead and throw those in there as it goes, as a presentation goes on, they'll notify us and we will go off those questions at the end of the meeting as we get through there. Once again, thank you for being here. We really appreciate getting to share about our program that we're very excited about. My staff has worked very hard in preparation for this, and they do a fantastic job with their students. So starting off with this, I'm going to introduce our Assistant Superintendent of Education, Dr. Clara Finneran.
Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. Welcome. And I hope you find tonight's session to be very helpful. Please don't hesitate to reach out with questions. We're happy to have you and to answer your questions. Thanks.
And then my assistant principal, Ms. Gia Jantz.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
Our sixth grade ELA teacher, Mrs. Rebecca Rinaldi.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming. We're excited to share about our program tonight with you all.
Sixth grade science, Julie Herrera.
Good evening, I'm Julie Herrera, sixth grade science teacher, and happy to be here tonight.
Seventh grade ELA social studies, Darcy Miller.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Darcy Miller. I teach the seventh grade ELA social studies cohort.
Also teaching seventh grade, Ms. Julie Peck.
Hello, it's great to see you. Well, I can't see you actually, but thank you for coming. And I get to partner with Miss Miller in teaching seventh grade this year. So I'm excited about that.
Seventh grade science, Joanna Servin West.
Hi, thank you for coming tonight. We're excited to tell you a little bit more about our program.
And eighth grade ELA and social studies, Ms. Haley Tepper.
Hi, welcome. I'll just say ditto, what everyone else said.
And from our Association of GATE Parents, Ms. Susie Ming.
Hi there all. Nice to see you all tonight and look forward to talking to you.
Thank you. So as we get started here, this is a funny little caption that we like to think about with our students here. Many of you guys are here probably wondering, like, is my child fit the characteristics of a GATE student? And so we'll go through there, but this is one of those things here that we try to embody here. Not every student is the same. Some need different challenges in a classroom. Some need extra support in classroom. And so we look at having our GATE program as a way that can help support those kids that might be creative, outside the box thinkers, and have some of these very unique characteristics. And so this is why we have this program here in the district. We're very proud about having it here, and it's just a great opportunity for our students here. And so we're excited to share a little bit about the program as we go through here. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca.
Everyone, I'm Rebecca Rinaldi. So we're going to start with some gifted characteristics and kind of, you might be thinking of your own student. Is my student the right fit for our program? So some gifted characteristics you can read on the screen. I'll read it quickly, but maybe you have a perfectionist at home with you, or a student with maybe some heightened sensitivity in different areas. maybe they love problem solving or thinking kind of outside the box. Maybe they make abstract connections to different things. Maybe you have a student who likes to observe and maybe can be a little intense and inquisitive, asks a lot of questions about things. You might have a student also who picks up topics quickly. They learn quickly, they have intense interest in certain things. They like a lot of choice in what they want to learn. You might also have a student who maybe is a little bit critical of themselves, maybe a little hard on themselves sometimes. So these are just a little snapshot of gifted characteristics that you might see. The next slide is a little bit more. We often have students who are either like bright or gifted, and many students fit both. Many students are bright and gifted. But if you're kind of wondering maybe what the difference is, so a bright child maybe works hard to achieve, they're studying a lot, they've got to do a lot of reading and focused work to get that A+ in their class. But gifted learner maybe already knows, like they know a lot of information, and maybe they don't have to work as hard, and we can kind of push them to have their interests be kind of taken up on a different level. A bright child like enjoys school. A gifted learner might enjoy self-directed learning. We have a lot of choice in our program in either the content that they learn sometimes, or their choice of project, or how they want to present their learning. A bright child has an imagination. A gifted learner uses that imagination and then experiments with it and applies their imagination to other ideas and complex things, and maybe makes those connections elsewhere. Julie Herrera is going to go on a little bit more about some work habits and academics, some characteristics of gifted students that you might notice, or maybe your students' teachers might see in their classrooms.
Okay, so I'll give you a moment to glance over some of the characteristics that we see in our gifted learners. Some of the things that stand out are that they learn very, very quickly. They are reading and comprehending at much higher levels than their peers might be. They are really interested and enjoy problem solving, thinking critically, doing puzzles like logic puzzles. You might find that your child asks a lot of questions, especially at a really young age. And most of these characteristics are found in the gifted learners. You might see maybe a couple of these in other students, but a gifted learner encompasses majority of these characteristics. Continuing on to the next slide, we have some more characteristics. They're definitely thinking outside the box, coming up with unique ways to solve a problem, really vivid imaginations. Our students are really curious, going above and beyond, and again, really focusing on majority of these characteristics. They have a unique sense of humor. So your child may relate really well to adults with their thinking and have those connections. So again, a lot of this is what you might find if you're thinking if your child would be a good fit for our gifted program.
Okay, and I'm going to add on to that. In addition to those intellectual and academic characteristics, we also see some distinct social emotional characteristics in our gifted students. And I'm going to do the same thing, but I'll give you a moment to kind of just glance over that and ask yourself, are you seeing these traits in your child? So a lot of the attributes that we listed on this slide, you'll see are, lead to very successful, yet sometimes challenging behaviors, and at home and in the classroom. Some of these attributes can be misinterpreted in a classroom setting. There was, one that said, maybe on the other slide, bored, or, gets bored or frustrated easily. And that sometimes appears as off task or distracted. So I think what our program does is, we're very aware of these attributes, and we're able to meet these students' needs as a gifted learner. All of our teachers have been trained. We're familiar with these attributes. We're familiar with students who carry and exhibit these attributes. And so we've designed an environment that sees these as strengths and helps students to frame these as strengths. Overexcitability is that last one. That's a big one. The last little arrow down there, you'll see that is based on the work of Dabrowski. It's a good one to Google if you're thinking maybe this sounds like your student. And we do, like Ms. Herrera said, we see these a lot, in our students from a very young age. And again, a lot of these qualities are things we see in the general population, but in gifted students, these are heightened. We see a lot of them. You're saying yes, yes, yes to a lot of these arrows. And our program is really having these students grouped with other students who share these attributes. And so that can be really comforting to students, so they don't feel like they're alone, that they're highly sensitive. Maybe they cry easily, that they're getting jokes that other kids aren't. So putting those students together in the same environment, they don't feel different. They don't feel uncomfortable. And I'll give you just a perfect example from this week that came up at school. We have lunch clubs. Different teachers host different clubs in their room. And one that a bunch of 8th grade students, GATE students, started is our Dungeons and Dragons Club. And a new teacher at our school this year told me, he's hosting it, he said, when I was in middle school, that was, there were kids that played that, but it wasn't really socially acceptable. You didn't brag that you were playing Dungeons and Dragons. It might be kind of embarrassing. But here he has, 30 GATE kids that are all, loud and proud playing Dungeons and Dragons. And that's what we provide for them. So an environment where they are with like-minded peers, and an environment that's very accepting and encouraging and meeting their distinctive needs, even socially, emotionally, as gifted learners.
Hi. So our GATE program has been around quite a few years, and we've worked really diligently with the district and the mainstream AE Right to create a specialized GATE philosophy and mission where we can really nurture and accelerate, go into depth and complexity and novelty to enhance our special learners. One of the great things, one of the most amazing things that we have with this program is that we do get to cohort our students into these like-minded peer groups, where that can, in sense, build motivation and positive self-image, like the example that Ms. Tepper just said about Dungeons and Dragons. They found their people, and they get to experience school classes and the outside lunchtime with them. So one of the things that we really have prided ourselves in is our mission, is that we are really here to assist and facilitate our students in becoming individuals who are able to self-initiate, and to accept responsibility with their actions, whether it be in the learning process or in the social process or outside in the normal world that they experience outside of AE Right. We want them to know that they are capable of intelligent choice, and they can become independent learners with problem-solving skills and be able to articulate points of view in a very respectful and intelligent way to their peers and to other adults.
Okay, so looking at the program overview, just to give you an idea of what it actually looks like, the 4 really important components of any program for gifted students include depth, complexity, acceleration, and novelty. And acceleration kind of lands over all of those. The reason is that because we are able to sort of speed up some things, they learn quickly. These are rapid learners. So we get through the state and Common Core dictated curriculum maybe quicker than we would in a class that doesn't have gifted learners, and that allows us time. So having that time allows us to then go in depth. We can delve into topics on a deeper level and explore students' interest. So we cover, what they have to know, but then we do that quickly. So then we can get into what they want to know. This keeps them engaged. Quick example, my 8th grade, we're covering the American Revolution, and we cover all the battles and everything everyone needs to learn. And then we are able to dive in, and I have like one student, he wants to be a doctor. He's researching the medical techniques and procedures that took place during this time and is fascinated, and he's so into it. So we're able to do that. We get more time. Novelty, this is the nuance. This is students personalizing their understanding. Like Mrs. Rinaldi said, we give them a lot of choice, novelty, and nuance. Gamification, we have field trips, we're doing puzzles, we're integrating art throughout. And that, and choices, again, in their content, in the products they create. And then complexity, we're making advanced relationships and associations across and between subjects. We're making connections throughout English, social studies, science across the board, and how relationships change over time, the ethics of a situation, looking at things from multiple perspectives, noticing the trends and patterns that occur across disciplines. And a lot of this is through the work of Sandra Kaplan. She's a kind of a guru of giftedness, a professor at USC. We use her depth and complexity icons in all of our classes. And this allows a lot of more advanced critical thinking too. So the structure of the day is that your students spend 3 periods, English, social studies, and science, within their GATE cohorts. These are with our GATE teachers, with other GATE students, with their like-minded peers. So that's half their day. The other 3 periods, their math, their PE, and elective, they are mixed in with the general population. Math is based on levels, so students are tested and placed into a level that's appropriate for them with the general population, and their elective and PE as well. And this is nice because they spend half their day in this group with their GATE friends, socially making strong connections, but they're also not isolated. They're not separated from the general population. They spend half their day there as well.
Okay, I get to share a little bit of what practically GATE instruction looks like. So all of the previous speakers have been talking about gifted characteristics and the instructional foundation. This is kind of how it plays out. So this is an example. The top 2 pictures relate to the prompt here. So the scenario, many times, like some of the other teachers were saying, there's really great opportunities for cross-curricular connections. So the first 2 pictures have to do with ancient civilization, I believe it's Mesopotamia, and thinking about how to transport water. So connecting our study of history and engineering and science together. The bottom 2 photos have to do with learning about challenges that the Maya civilization faced and different creative ways to meet those challenges. And again, the idea and the content started with a historical concept, but then we challenged them to engage in the design process and the engineering process to come up collaboratively with these solutions. And I will say, you'll see here, there's a lot of collaboration. Many of our GATE students have strong ideas, and when they come together, sometimes those ideas mesh well and sometimes they don't. And so part of the learning process for us in our GATE classes is definitely learning how to listen and to incorporate each other's ideas and knowing when to compromise and when to stick with your guns. So that is part of our program as well. And then on the next slide, you'll see kind of some strategies that we do use in the various GATE cohorts. I will say, we're really looking at meeting those gifted characteristics. So if we look at, we do quite a bit of simulations and models, trying to increase empathy and understanding in history. There's research. So tomorrow in 7th grade, we're studying medieval Europe, and we're going to be doing some skits to understand what it was like to be a serf, and then they're going to create an opinion piece, whether serfs should stay in the position that they are in society or whether serfs should be freed. And we're going to wrestle with kind of the impact of those things. So we're building and trying to incorporate lots of different modalities, many different kinds of ways to show their learning and to process learning. We also do kind of more traditional things too. Like today we did Cornell notes in my class, which, have various popularity, but again, we want to give them those good learring to learn skills as well as those fun creative things. So we're trying to mesh those things together. We also did, we will read many different things. We just did a unit on adolescence where we read and listened to literature, podcasts, poetry on adolescence. And then they created their own view of what it means to be an adolescent in 2021. And so there was a lot of arts involved with that. And even with the scientific models, we're really trying to push their thinking beyond kind of the next gen science standards really already do a great job of providing models or encouraging students to create models, or asking GATE students to make those connections, maybe a connection to another subject, and bringing those models into the science curriculum. I think that's, I think we'll go on to the next slide then. Ms. Servin?
So just to echo what Julie was saying, here are a few more work samples that we can see. Many of these projects that you see that students have created, they've created together in groups, and they're able to share and build off of each other's ideas. They also have a lot of choice in how they express those ideas. So even though they might have to have a project that demonstrates certain knowledge of genetic principles or information about what they're learning in history, they have options in how they can represent that information. So they're able to express that creativity, and they're able to show what they know in the way that is most motivational to them. Because a lot of our students have very, very strong passions, and it gives them more ability to express themselves and express those passions they have in really creative ways while working with their classmates. And if we go on to the next slide, another thing that is fantastic about being in the GATE program is we're fortunate enough to be able to take our students on a lot of different field trips. So we'll often take students on field trips that correspond with what they're currently learning. So for instance, they might go to the Wilgier Theatricum Botanicum and they'll see A Midsummer Night's Dream because they read that book, but also it ties into learning about the Renaissance. The Museum of Tolerance is, other than just a fantastic place to go for them to learn and grow as people, it ties in wonderfully with reading the Diary of Anne Frank. And even though right now not all museums are open for people to go and visit in person, we're still going on virtual field trips. So there is a field trip scheduled for next month, a virtual field trip to Jamestown, which is the first English colony. So even if we're not in a place yet where students can go on all of these field trips in person, we're still making sure that they get a lot of these really authentic experiences, and they're able to go out and see connections in the real world to what they're learning in class.
All right, so this is Miss Miller here, and I have recently just taught all the different levels of classes. So let's start off with the college prep classes. The college prep class are what we're calling the general ed population. Those are English, language arts, social studies, math, science, PE, and an elective. You can be in a college prep language arts class, but you could possibly also excel in math and maybe be in a higher level math class. It would be a traditional schedule. Most of our students are in the college preparatory class area of AE Wright. In 7th grade and 8th grade, there is an opportunity for the general population of AE Wright to be in an honors social studies and an honors language arts class. And not in 6th grade, but in 7th grade and 8th grade. It's based on teacher recommendation from the prior year. And there are some tests involved as well. A student that would be a good fit for an honors language arts or social studies class would be a someone who is very interested in that topic, someone who is very organized, has a very high academic performance level. They always score advanced on their STAR testing or any of their class tests in those subjects. And we offer these in 7th and 8th grade because we feel that we want to be able to challenge those students that do need it. And that is only probably about a couple classes out of the grade level. And then our third program that we offer at AE Wright is the GATE cohorting program. And so this is really what you're all looking at, and it's based on IQ. These are students that have gifted IQ levels, and if accepted, and if you all accept to be in this program, you would be cohorted in a language arts and social studies class. So for example, I teach the same kids for periods 1 and 2 for 7th grade language arts, and we are able to dive deeper into our topics and to use our social studies curriculum into our language arts. And I believe Ms. Peck was mentioning earlier how there's the simulations with the SURFs, and then we can work on our content standards for language arts and write about it. And also they are cohorted into a science. I do not teach the science class. They would go into a GATE science teacher who is way more qualified than I am. And in the GATE classes, we're really focused on the critical thinking aspects of it. These kids can pick up the topics and the standards very quickly. So we're able to focus on more critical thinking, more problem solving, move into those depth and complexity icons that Ms. Stepper was talking about earlier. And it really is all programs. I've taught all 3. All programs are wonderful, but if your child is a gifted learner, the GATE program is an amazing place for them to learn and thrive and try new things, and to be able to learn how to succeed and learn how to fail, and to move on and continue their education and be ready to either high school that you choose to send your child to.
Just to piggyback on what Mrs. Miller was saying, this question's asked a lot of times. What about AC Stell and Lindero? What are their programs offer? So at AC Stell and Lindero, they have the traditional college prep 6 through 8 program, and then they have the 7th and 8th grade honors. So all 3 middle schools are very similar in that part of it, but AE Wright is the only school out of the 3 middle schools in the district that offers a GATE program. Lindero does offer a dual immersion, where they blend predominantly Spanish with some of their classes and some of their English. And some of those students have worked up through that program. But we've had some people just ask, like, what happens at AC Stell and Lindero? And so they have the same college prep and honors program as we do here at AE Wright as well.
Yeah, and basically just to kind of summarize, I know some of you might be in the middle of dinner or homework time, but as you can tell from our teacher speaking, as well as our principal, we're very proud of our program, and our program is perpetually challenges and raises the bar in terms of best practices, always based off of research and what's coming up and what's in the now. Our teachers and staff do all this while maintaining high expectations for our students and really the program, all really while prioritizing safety. We talked about peers being like-minded all together. So then that also rolls into their social emotional learning as well. So collectively, we're very proud of that we've built something like that to offer students in the Las Virgenes School District. And we're also proud of our program, not only for what we do daily, or over the 3 years that we could potentially have students at the middle school level, but really re-examining and preparing all of our GATE students to continue to be exemplar scholars. Again, not only for the 3 years, but through high school and wherever their future might take them, possibly through college and above, and to be empathetic human beings as they come up in the world.
So now you're probably wondering, how do we test? What does this look like here? So next steps, if you guys are interested in the program here, is to reach out on our website, on the district website, the lvusd.org. And on there, you will find a location that has for parents, and then it takes you down to gate testing. Or you could even go through the AE Right website, and there's a tab there that has gate that will link you to it. Once you submit a request that you're interested in the gate testing program, we will send you an assessment that you will fill out of your child. We'll ask you a series of questions that covers a lot of the characteristics and traits that we talked about in here, just for you to give that understanding of where you think that your child might fall. And then from there, our school psychologist, one of our psychologists, will reach out and start to test these students at their school sites. And so when you put in the request, she gathers a group of kids. So an example is here recently, she might have just gone to one of the local elementary schools and starts testing these kids. They are given an IQ test as the way that is one of the main factors that we will look at, looking at qualifications. And then we'll look at other factors if need be to see how it goes. But that is our main source that we start to look for. Once that goes on, your child could be tested in October, it could be November, but we'll start to give notifications in early February. We wait until we have almost a majority of all the testing done. And then we notify the parents, usually right around the first part of February. And then if you qualified for the program, we will let you know, and then we will have an accepted student showcase on February 16th. At that showcase, we will have some students present. We go into a lot deeper of what this program will look like, what you would expect from the classes. We'll have some kids sharing what they might be seeing and feeling, and you get to hear from a student perspective for it. If you are currently scheduled to go to AE Right, you can just take the gate test. And if your child qualifies, you can just go ahead and move right into AE Right and get placed into those gate classes. If your child is scheduled to go to AC Stell or Lindero, or if you're here from outside the district, if you're in the district, you'll have to apply for a school of choice permit whenever you do the gate testing. Then if you qualify, you would transfer over into AE Right. If you're outside the district, you would have to get granted a permit from your district to be accepted in ours, and then we can do the gate testing and see if you qualify for the program. Some of the questions that I know that have been asked a little bit is, on any given year, we test over 200 students in a given year. We don't test all of them. That's where we want you guys to go through the information night, make sure that your child fits the program and if this is the best interest. But we'll test over 200 kids a year. Out of, say, if we tested 220, we might only have about 120 qualify. And from there, we might only have, maybe 90 kids accept to go there. So not all kids that qualify do accept to come in. But this last year, the last couple of years, we've had a high success rate of students choosing to come in. And right now we are over 200 students, just over 200 students strong in our program. We're very excited that we have 2 cohorts in 8th grade. We have 3 cohorts in 7th grade and 3 cohorts in 6th grade. And so, we want to try to take as many kids as we can in the program, but we look at our numbers, and as long as we can continue to fill cohorts, we'll take those kids and build them into the program. So we are excited about that, to have such a strong program, that we have many parents that are trying to be part of it.
Okay, so there are several of us who are pretty active on social media. If you wanted to take a picture of this slide, this is a good one. If you want to take a sneak peek, see what we're doing in our classes, you can see the teachers that are here tonight and our grade levels. If you wanted to peek and see what are we doing, please do. We welcome it. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. For me in 8th grade, I actually have students manage this. So they're deciding what we post and captioning it. It comes through my my account. They don't have their own, but I oversee it all, but it's really what they decide to post for you to see. Also on our GATE website at the bottom, you can see if you go to the Las Virgenes website and then click on AEWMS, AE Right, there's a tab that says GATE. And there you will find a lot of what we said tonight, but also some additional information. We have some FAQs there. We have a link to our AGP, which is our fabulous parent group. Susie Ming is going to speak in a minute about that, but that would be a great place to look. We put out a newsletter pretty much quarterly, and it kind of just gives updates to the GATE parents, our current GATE parents, about what we're doing, but you have access to that as well on the website. So if you wanted some more in-depth information and wanted to take a look, this is a great place to do that. And you can kind of spy on us before you make a decision. So please watch what we're doing. We're proud.
After this evening's over, we'll also share the presentation on our GATE website, and then we will also have a link to the video or this webinar as well that we'll share on the website. Now introducing Susie Ming to speak about the GATE Parents Association.
Yeah, hi, good evening. I just want to talk a little bit about the Association of GATE Parents. It is a parent group for all GATE parents and their families, I will say. So we support the GATE program by building partnerships between the parents, teachers, and the administration. You've gotten a really good glimpse of the administration and the great GATE teachers in this presentation here, so you can see what they've been doing. We provide parent support through ongoing communication and information via those newsletters that Mrs. Tepper was just saying, and class emails. We organize social events for students and parents that have been get-togethers in the park or social action events to really pull the students in together. It's been really great. We also provide educational opportunities through our fall and spring GATE parent meetings, have some parent ed, so that's been really fun. And as Mrs. Tepper said, if you go to that webpage, there is the GATE tab, and there is a GATE parent tab there too. And we just posted a newsletter for the fall. And if you want to go, I think it's a great way to kind of see what the teachers are up to. Each teacher kind of has provided a little bit of an update on what they're up to, some pictures, and it really gives you a feel for what they're up to in the classroom. So we look forward to you kind of going in and checking us out in there. Thanks.
With that being said, what questions might you have? Please enter some of those questions in the chat box. I know some of my teachers have answered a few ones, but we will try to go through there and answer any additional questions that do arise, and we'll go through this for just a few minutes here. We do have
like about 25 questions have been answered, Dr. Roberts.
Yes.
Not just a few, not just a few.
Okay. Some of the questions, so our numbers are like 8th grade. So the questions are 8th grade, we have, it's like 52, 53, somewhere in there. Our 7th grade cohort's about 85 students, and our 6th grade cohort's about 75 students. So we've had, really good numbers there. Some people asked about the electives. Our typical electives that we offer here at AE Right is we have an art program. We have a full band and choir program that offers all levels of that. We offer Spanish 1A and 1B, so that if a child completes that in 2 years, they can enter high school with Spanish 1 completed. We offer robotics. We offer an early college academy program, so that if students take the course there, their 8th grade year, they can start taking a class from Moorpark College and earn 1 unit of college credit in their 8th grade year, and they can take on more classes from there. We have leadership, yearbook. Am I missing any other electives? Okay. Another question here that I see is students, how they transition to the IB program and the AP capstone. I'll be very honest, it is about 50-50. 1 year we might have 57% go to Agora and 43% go to Calabasas. And then the next year it is, almost flipped. So our students have gone both schools pretty equally. that we would say like it's really, really close to about 50%. And our students have thrived in both the AP capstone at Calabasas and the IB program at Agora. Many of the students will come back and share. We usually offer a time for our 8th graders in the spring that we will reach out to past graduates of the GATE program to come back and speak to them, to give them some tips. And the students always typically come back and say, man, I was so prepared. I felt great going into my classes in my English, math, science, all that. They felt really positive and really strong going in. And one of the other things that just typically comes with that is when we ask the students, what do they feel about the program, of being in the GATE program? And every year when we have the showcase, probably one of the biggest things that always stands out is the kids say they feel like they have a home. They feel like they are with their peers. They're excited. They love coming to class. And I know we've had many of our teachers, or some of our teachers and other staff have had their kids go through the GATE program. And it's just constantly the kids love being part of it because they have just somebody that they say gets them, is one of the things that they say. Another question that's pretty consistent coming across is the math placement test. So in 5th grade, you guys do not need to do anything about it. In your 5th grade classroom in the spring, your child, if you are within the district, will get a 5th grade placement test. That is the same test that we give to all students in Las Virgenes Unified School District that gives us our guiding factors on where we will start to place kids. In 6th grade, they would take either the college prep, or we do have an accelerated course that those kids can qualify to be in, but that starts in 6th grade. And so it's not tied to the GATE program just because it gets very tricky tying too many classes into the GATE program, because then you start to have way too many master schedule constraints. And we want kids to have the elective choices that they want. Because we have some kids that, oh, I really want to be in leadership and I want to be in band, but we have to be able to have some flexibility to get some of these kids in the program of their choice that they really like. Another question, Mr. Hackett does teach the jazz band here, 0 period. Our music program is very similar to Lindero. We have beginning strings, orchestra, beginning band, choir, advanced orchestra. We have similar music program. There's a question here. If the student's accepted in the program and attends, we usually, if a student starts out a school year, they would finish out that school year. So if they start 6th grade and GATE program, they feel like it's not the best fit, then we will look at, having conversations with families and placing them into either the honors class or, the college prep class, depending on what is the best fit for them the following year. But that doesn't happen very often. Once the kids are typically in there, they love being in there. So, but we have had that, and we do have some discussions with families and go through those with them. Sports programs, GATE students can participate in all the same sports programs. We offer intramural sports during lunchtime, have a robust program. We have soccer starting next week as our first intramural program. And then we also have all-stars where we compete against other middle schools, Lindero and ACSL throughout the year. But we have a nice, robust intramural lunchtime program for kids. We want to keep them active and engaged as much as possible. Any other questions? I'm just trying to read through and make sure I'm not missing anything. So another one here, just for clarification. So students are cohorted together with one teacher for their ELA and history. So they have them for 2-period block. So for an example, Ms. Miller mentioned she has her students for 1st and 2nd period. So those students will be in that with Ms. Miller for those 2 periods in a row. And then after that class is over, they would go to 3rd period where they could have maybe PE or their elective. But then say 4th period, they might join Ms. Servin West for a GATE science class where they will have a different group of kids within the GATE program that attend that science class. So our kids have 3 GATE classes out of their 6. Their English and history are the same group of kids, but then they might be mixed up in science. And we do that to help with the flexibility and also to give those kids an opportunity to see other kids within the program that's in their grade, help with some friendships and social emotional parts of it there. And it just mixes up the classes and gives them different perspectives from other students all the time. But they are cohorted together in ELA and social science.
Dr. Roberts, I think I've answered like many times about class size. Is it okay if I just say that out loud?
Yeah.
I've been copy pasting my answer. Our class size is in alignment with the district averages. It's varies year to year based on how many students qualify for GATE, how many students accept and decide to come to GATE. We're not smaller or bigger than the average class size throughout the district. So I hope that kind of answers that. And Dr. Roberts, if you want to chime in.
You're right. So right now, like I just gave you, like we have 3 cohorts in 7th grade with 85 kids. I think most of you guys can do the math there. So it's about 27, 28, give or take there. Last year we did have 6th grade. That cohort did get pretty full. So they were in the mid 30s throughout the year. So, but we had more kids that qualified and we bumped them up to accommodate the needs. So it varies. And, you know, with a cohort, you can have some that get a little bit smaller, then you have some that get a little bit bigger, but we do stay within the district average for sure. But because we do have cohorts that go together, we do have some fluctuating numbers on a given year. It is what it is because kids qualify or they don't, but just knowing the area, which is interesting, we do have our area here. We do have a high number of gifted kids in our area that they do qualify. Typically a GATE student is 2% of the population, but we serve a bigger portion of that. So we do have a lot of kids that come here, and we do have lots of people that try to seek and come into our program because they know how strong it is and how well we do prepare our kids. Our teachers do a fantastic job. Our parents are extremely supportive and help out tremendously. I know the kids look forward to the outside events that they get together. They build some friendships that last a long time. So I guarantee that most of the kids that come here feel like they found their home and they feel very positive about where they're at and what they're doing.
Dr. Roberts, there's a few questions, I think there's 4 or 5, regarding what exactly are the scores? What exactly is the test? You want to tackle that or you want me to?
Go for it.
So just a few comments about the assessment. So it's important to know that there's no way to prepare for the assessment. This is not a test of a child's. It's not like they're going in to take the SAT. So this is a very different type of test. It's a cognitive test, and so that's important to know. So we would just ask you to love your child as you do and as you will, and please don't overly prepare. There's really nothing that you can do to prepare for the assessment. So that's probably the most important thing to say. The second piece regarding what are the cutoff scores, what's the type of test, how does that all work? Well, we don't really have, we use, it's complicated. We use percentiles and we look at various categories in the assessment. So there's not necessarily one singular cutoff score. That sure would be easy, but that's not how we do it. And we also use other factors when we're looking at that decision-making process. As far as testing, there were a number of questions about when will testing begin and will we be notified? So unlike during COVID, we're returning to some pre-COVID things, believe it or not. And one of those is going to elementary schools to assess students. So our psychologist who does the testing will be going to various elementary schools to test 5th graders. That happens beginning in a few weeks, actually. And I don't know how we notify parents actually now. I'm forgetting. Do we notify them pre-COVID, Dr. Roberts? No?
So typically we wait until we have a group of students at a school site, and
Yeah.
then the psychologist will go to that school site and will pull kids from their class and start testing through the list there. So like you're referencing, it's not something they can prepare for. It's just if they're gifted in that aspect, they're just going to be themselves and do everything that they're covering, and that's where they're going to go. So the psychologist waits until they have a group of them. I know we probably have 50 to 60 kids already signed up for it. And so she's already starting to look at some of her rounds that she's going to be going to different elementary sites. It takes about 30 minutes to test a child. It's a one-on-one test, and then she goes through that process with them.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Roberts.
If you are outside the district, you will be somewhat towards the end of the line in a way. So you will sign up for it. And once we get through some of the other testing, then we will contact you and set up a time to possibly come by the district office where we will set up the test and have you come then. But if I'm not mistaken, we probably might have already started testing some of our school sites as well. So it's already going out there. So. And then we will notify if they qualified. We hope to shoot for late January, early February is usually where we go. And then there was a question about the school of choice permits. The window does open November 22nd, and it will close February 1st. If you did qualify and you go through accepted, we can take those school of choice permits and go through that process as well. So don't completely freak out about that if you miss that one deadline, but if you qualified, we can make that part there. But that's our general window that we use for the district. This is a special program that we run in, so we do have part of that process as well.
Dr. Roberts, I'm sorry.
Permits. That's okay. Still some questions about permits. Dr. Roberts, you want to run through that one more time?
Yeah, so the permit window for school of choice and outside permits starts to open up November 22nd. So on the district website, you can apply for a permit or school of choice if you're wanting to transfer. We do have a lot of families that when they do apply for the gate testing, that they go ahead and submit the school of choice permit. It's just saying that you would like to go to AE Wright if, and a lot of parents will put in there, I would like to go to AE Wright if my child gets qualified for the program. It's just a separate tab in there. It already has your application. You're good to go. People outside the district, usually sometimes I know that LA Unified School District does not allow and open up their permit process till February 1st, usually, typically after that. So you would seek your release from your outside district. And once you get it released, then you can apply inside the district. And then once that comes in, we start to look at our numbers and how we can backfill them. So we have filled where we have spots where LVUSD parents and students are number one. They get first choice and first dibs going in there. But as we get later in the year, if there is outside, families that have applied to come into the program, we do start to fill in some of those spots there. So our parents within the district do have first choice and come into it, then we will start to definitely backfill, and we want to have full programs going through there.
Dr. Roberts, there was someone requesting to see the slide again with the Twitter, and I like to show off on my Twitter. So if you did not see this slide, it's back up. Someone asked, I swear.
Ms. Jantz, would you like to answer the one question there about diversity?
Yeah, I was already typing it, but I can share aloud. Diversity wise in our program, we have almost down to exactly 50-50 male and female students. We do have a lot of students, if we're talking about necessarily the demographic with ethnicity or race. We have a lot of students from very different backgrounds that do choose to test and apply. And we do have a diverse group in terms of ethnicity in our classes as well. And it's important also to have students with a range of backgrounds. as well from different walks of life. So yes, would I say that even within the GATE program is diverse? Absolutely.
Okay. Last call for questions. Parents, thank you for attending this evening. We will post this on our school website and under the GATE tab. If you do have further questions that we might not have got to address tonight and didn't get to them in one of the feeds, please feel free to reach out to me at mroberts@lvusd.org. My email is on the A Right website, so you can reach out to me. If I do not have the answer, I will forward it over to one of my lovely GATE teachers that might have the specific answer for you. But I think we can be able to help you out with that there. So looking forward to seeing many kids test and looking forward to having a lot of future Spartans joining our campus from across the district. And so we want you guys to enjoy the rest of your evening. And I know that many of you guys are probably watching a baseball game right now and going back and forth between the screen and our presentation here. So have a good rest of your evening. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be talking soon. Thank you.